Hey everybody, it's Tom, and a slight change of pace. I'm going to talk about a film or a movie today at the bequest of more than one person, but in particular, my dear friend Lindsay has exhorted me to begin doing these sorts of reviews to complement the at times arid content which I otherwise put up on the channel. And to get that ball rolling, I'm going to talk about Network, a film worth remembering. It came out in 1976, and there are really two main plot lines, along with sundry others unfolding in the background. The most well known of which is that of Howard Beale, who is a network anchor of renown, who at the outset of the film learns that he's about to lose his job due to declining ratings, which information relayed by his friend and head of the news department, Max Schumacher, leads him the next day on the air to announce that he will be taking his own life, which creates a scandal and hijinks, as it were, ensue. And the other line of development concerns Max Schumacher and an affair that he develops with another upcoming network executive, Diane Christensen. And the film is played with a stellar cast, and I will allow the synopsis to stand right there. If you want more of a synopsis, I'll put links below and so forth. But I just want to sort of talk about some salient themes that unfold in the course of the film and which are the root of my recommending it to you. One of those themes is sort of crystallized in a very famous scene where Howard Beale calls out to the audience. It's like, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. He tells them, you need to go out there right now. You need to make that declaration. You need to get angry. You need to get up from your chair and walk over to that window and open it. And you just tell the world, I am mad as hell. And I am not going to take it anymore. Which, of course, leads to, great fanfare and helps boost the success of this show and so on and so forth. That's probably the most famous scene in the film. As I was watching it before sort of doing this video, it occurred to me that what's interesting is how the sheer emotionalism involved in that moment, while perhaps having a certain legitimacy, actually portrays one of the key avenues through which the system perpetuates itself. People are aware that the society in which we exist is saddled with profoundly imperfect institutions, to put the matter more than mildly. And yet, a great complacency is extant with respect to those institutions and accepting them as they stand. Occasionally, the outcome of that complacency is the emergence of a particularly egregious wrong or some injustice or other suddenly presses itself into our mind in a way that can no longer be avoided. And often, the reaction to such an insurgent tragedy, say for example, the events a few months back in France, the terrorist attacks there, or recently the most horrendous photo of a casualty of the Syrian war, a young boy, and in the face of those sorts of events, an incredible emotionalism arises, and you're like, by God, we've got to do something about it. But the sheer emotionality is expended in just really empty utterance. Very little actually happens to transform the situation in a positive way. To put it in another fashion, it is a way in which revolutionary or reforming impulses become appropriated by the established framework and even at times commodified. And in this way, they sort of lose their verve and their potential for grounding more substantive transformation. Now, what is that system which I'm speaking? In Network, the film addresses this as well along two axes. Well, more than two, but two main axes. One is the media component, the role of television, and now it's not just television, it's television and the internet, digital media generally, that conspire to produce a particular mentality and a particular sense of how we relate to the world. And the other theme is the theme of how the dollar has incredible sway. And in this connection, there's a fantastic monologue, absolutely fantastic, by Ned Beatty, in which he reproves Howard Beale, who at one point in the film uses the bully pulpit that he comes to inherit in virtue of his eccentricities. He reproves him for using that bully puppet to denounce an emerging business deal, which is supposed to go down between certain American economic interests and certain Saudi economic interests, indicating that the reproach, the objection which Beale is levying to that business deal fails to appreciate the true ground of international order. The true ground of international order is a system of currency abetted by certain immutable bylaws of business. It's an incredibly elegant expression of a very real ideological framework that drives many of the elite in the world today. Oftentimes, this framework can be termed neoliberalism, but it carries other names as well. And it's exactly what is at the background of things like the Trans-Pacific, the TPP, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is sort of, I don't know, might have the initials off just a bit, but you know the agreement to which I'm alluding, or NAFTA, or other similar things. The idea is that what you want to do is increasingly disempower the sovereignty of governments so that the market comes to assert itself as a real mechanism whereby decisions are made. And connected with that is the conviction that through that mechanism you can actually dissolve the ills of the world, which is stated explicitly in Network. The bankruptcy of this perspective is thrown into very nice relief by the film because it paints how it connects with how the media formation unfolds and the sort of really the incredibly unscrupulous and depraved behavior which flows from those commitments. But apart from all that ideological consideration, it's just such an elegantly written film. I mean, the screenplay, I believe it got the Oscar for the screenplay, which is incidental because the Academy is hardly a barometer of trustworthiness in such affairs. Though it's better then than it is now, perhaps. But that's neither here nor there. The main thing is that it's a superbly composed script with it's just some semi-fantastic monologues, right? There's the one to which I just alluded with Ned Beatty. But Howard Beale has several, and other characters as well, and just fantastic vocabulary. I mean, the word adamantine is used in the film. What a fantastic word. Adamantine. It comes up in the latter portion where Mr. Hackett, I can't remember his first name, who's actually played by Robert Duvall, has to relay to others the attitude of another network executive, the one played by Ned Beatty. And he says, how you describe his position as inflexible, even adamantine. It's like, oh. So I'm like a word junkie, so I love that kind of stuff. But so if for nothing else, just to take up the language, there's so many great juicy words like oraculate in there, and then it's just nice because all that juicy, wonderful language comes along with a fantastically profound and satirical critique of what's going on in the world really today. It was made in 1976. But it was incredibly prescient. So thereby, there you have it. So that's go check it out, Network. And I do know what I'm going to do next. But we'll just keep up. I'll try and do at least a film a week, along with other stuff. But just to mix it up. All right. Well, thank you all, and I'll catch you later.